Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about Anki. I know there are a lot of fans of this, especially those preparing for STEP exams. But today I want to share my personal take on Anki. Spoiler alert, I'm not an actual fan of it. Now, before anyone jumps in, yes, I understand how effective Anki can be. There are plenty of high performers who swear by it, and I respect that. But today, I want to explain why I didn't use Anki myself and why, in my opinion, it's not a must. So, if you're not using Anki, don't worry, you can still do just fine. So, why don't I like Anki? Well, for one, I find it to be way more time consuming than it looks. For me, it felt like a constant time commitment that I wasn't really willing to make. I'm not the type who likes to spend every spare minute studying. I believe our brains need rest, and I try to avoid burnout by not constantly reviewing stuff and materials. When I study, I want to make sure I'm fully focused on my primary resources, which for me was the QBank. Constantly reviewing flashcards can be fatiguing, and I wanted to keep my mind fresh for what I considered my top priority. Plus, I found that Anki was just a lot to handle. It was overwhelming, especially when you see that growing number of cards left to review. And while I know Anki cards come with explanations, I often had to look up more information on my own, and this just ended up consuming more time. So instead, I put that time toward fully understanding concepts through the QBank. I know some of you might be thinking, but what about active recall and spaced repetition? And yes, I get that Anki is a great tool for that, but I feel like the QBank already covers these principles pretty well. There are so many questions based on the same concepts that over time I was naturally revisiting key materials. So I felt I was getting those benefits without the added stress of going through flashcards. Now, why don't I think Anki is a must? When I was studying, I remember feeling worried that I wouldn't do well without it. It felt like everyone else was using Anki, so I almost bought into the hype. But honestly, I ended up being overwhelmed by it. Instead, I convinced myself that focusing on the QBank alone would be enough. And for me, that turned out to be absolutely fine. Just for reference, I got a 2275 in my step 2. So, for those of you who are concerned about not using Anki, it might hurt your performance, but don't be. In my experience, it is totally possible to do well without it. Of course, I'm not here to recommend against Anki. I know that a lot of med students and USMLE preppers benefit from it, and if it works for you, that's great. I just wanted to share my personal experience. So, if you're planning your studies without Anki, don't feel like you're at disadvantage. You can do just fine. So, if you made it this far, thanks for listening. I hope this helps anyone out there who's feeling stressed about Anki. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more tips. Good luck, everyone, on your steps. Bye bye.